Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mike Harrigan. It is time for another Brain Buzz with Mike. Hope everyone's having an awesome week. So today we are going to talk about, it's kind of a continuation on last week's discussion about sleep. Today we're going to talk about an influencer of sleep, something that really impacts our daily lives by impacting our sleep, and that is light. So just a quick recap of what we talked about last week when we talked about why sleep is so important, right? So there's many things that we do. It's actually a very active state of life. It's not passive. We get many things done during our sleep. We consolidate memories to long term. Our brain actually goes into a state where we're solidifying certain connections that are made during the day and pruning other ones. It's very important for us. It also cleans out the toxins. All that trash, all that buildup from our metabolism throughout the day, that all gets cleared out at night. That doesn't happen during the day like it does the rest of our body. And that stuff doesn't get cleared out. That just builds up and builds up just like trash in a yard or ashes in a fireplace, and it makes things very difficult to function. So at night, that space between our cells expands and spinal cranial fluid washes through and clears that out. Very important. It also really helps with our general overall cognition, things like executive function, multi-sensory activities, things like driving or other activities where we have to engage our body and various other senses. Working memory and creativity are also very much affected by the level of sleep that we get. And poor sleep can also affect our body. Remember, everything's connected. If it messes with one, it probably messes with the other, the brain and the body. So poor sleep can influence your heart health, your blood pressure, your hormone production. Things like obesity and depression are greatly exacerbated by poor sleep. So it's very important to get good sleep, right? So what's our topic today? What's something that really influences sleep, and that is light. So first, to give you a little bit of background, it's important to understand what the circadian clock is, or also known as circadian rhythms, right? So all of our bodies have this internal clock that helps us to operate. And the circadian rhythms is the system that helps us to regulate our sleep and wake patterns, so when we go to sleep and when we wake up. It's also the C rhythms, circadian rhythms, are also very important for hormone production, for our eating habits, our digestion, our regulating our body temperature, and a number of other important bodily functions. And when those circadian rhythms are out of sync, when they're not working properly, it can influence things like it can cause sleeping disorders, obesity, diabetes, depression, bipolar disorder, or seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD. These are all greatly influenced by our circadian rhythm. So it's very important to understand that, and to understand the importance of maintaining a good homeostasis, a good circadian rhythm within our bodies. So now it's also important to understand that these circadian rhythms are greatly influenced by temperature, but also by light. The way our bodies are designed, the more light that we get, as in like during the day, the less melatonin we're going to produce. Melatonin is a hormone that we produce that makes us sleepy. At night, when the light is naturally more dim, our bodies produce more melatonin, which helps us to get to sleep. So that's the way our bodies are designed, and that's the way nature built them. So it's very much influenced by the amount of light that we get and the quality of light that we get. All right. So with that as a background, right, we need, and understanding this is a very delicate system, it's also important to understand that there are different types of light. There are different wavelengths. Some wavelengths are longer, some are shorter. Blue light is a very popular type of light these days. It's everywhere. It's in all of our electronic devices, our computer screens, our phones. They all use what's called blue light. Now, blue light is a type of light that has a very short wavelength, which means that it actually produces a lot of energy. So the problem with that is that blue light has been linked with many potential hazards with regard to our health. Blue light itself is just not what a natural light form that we're accustomed to, right? So first thing that it does is it really interferes with our circadian rhythms. And we talked about just now how important those circadian rhythms are to us in so many ways, right? But actually, many studies are showing that it can affect the circadian rhythms by twice as much as other light forms, right? It also suppresses that melatonin for 2 times longer than other light forms. So think about that. Melatonin is the hormone that we produce that kind of persuades us into sleeping, gets us into sleeping. Blue light actually suppresses that production for twice as long as other light forms do, right? So it also prevents our body temperature from dropping at night. Now, the way we go to sleep, one of the progressions as we gradually progress into deep, deep sleep, is our body temperature slowly goes down throughout the night. Well, blue light actually suppresses that function, that system, so disallowing our body to make that progression into sleep, right? In fact, in one study where young, healthy adults were exposed to computer screens, blue light computer screens from 9 to 11 p.m., those participants experienced less total sleep, they had suppressed melatonin production, and they woke up more often. They had much poorer quality of sleep. So it has a great impact on it. By contrast, another group of students exposed to the same 2 hours of light, but this time the light was red light, which is a different light form, right? And they had no issues. It didn't interfere with the circadian rhythms. It didn't interfere with the sleep. There was no problems with that. Okay, so it's important to understand that there's different types of light and they have different impacts on us. And that blue light is really prevalent in our electronic devices. It's also important to understand that not all blue light is bad. That doesn't mean you have to throw out all your devices. You don't have to give up all of that. In fact, what they found was that blue light exposure during the day can actually be beneficial. If it's in the early morning or afternoon, the closer you get to the time you're trying to sleep, the more negative impact it's going to have. One body of research, one study showed that blue light exposure earlier in the day actually helped to reduce daytime sleepiness. It actually enhanced reaction time, it enhanced alertness, and it actually enhanced attention span. So blue light exposure earlier in the day is not a bad thing. Natural light throughout the day is a phenomenal thing. Natural sunlight, right? Vitamin D, blue sunlight. So that's kind of a little breakdown on some of the types of light that are out there and how it can affect your circadian clock, which affects so many other things, right? So how can we use this? What are some takeaways from this? Well, the first thing is try to get as much natural light as you can during the day. So first thing when you wake up, try to get outside, try to get a good healthy amount, 10, 15 minutes at least of good healthy sunlight. Maybe even again at lunchtime or during the day. Try to get that good healthy sunlight. It's always awesome to get outside and experience nature as well. Lots of other research in other areas talking about how walking outside in nature really helps your brain in so many ways. So it's great to get that double benefit. You're getting that natural light and you're getting the exposure to exercise and triple, the trifecta. You're also getting that exposure to nature, which is very helpful as well. So first thing, get a lot of natural sunlight during the day. That'll help regulate your circadian rhythms. It'll help you get better sleep at night, and it'll really help enhance your attention, your mood, and your cognitive function, okay? Try to do that 10, 15 minutes morning and afternoon. The second thing, big takeaway here, you really have to cut out the blue lights late at night, right? For 2 to 3 hours before you're going to sleep, you really want to cut off those electronics. If you need to do something, you can read, go for a walk, do some things like that, but you really do not want to be exposing yourself to that blue light. Remember, light in general kind of affects our sleep patterns, but blue light is just amplified. It's basically light on steroids, okay? So really cut that back out at night. Another helpful hint you can use if you need to have some light in the evenings or if you're on a night shift, use red light. Red light does not seem to have those same negative impact effects as the blue light. So you can use red light for your night lights. That'll help you with your circadian rhythms as well as your melatonin production, right? There's also, you can look into getting blue blocking glasses. If you really need to use electronic devices or or do work the night shift, you can look into special glasses that will help to block that blue light. And there are also some apps that you can download to help filter and reduce the blue light on your devices as well. So if you're really determined or need to use those devices at night, you might want to look into some of those techniques. I hope that helps you. It is a really, really important factor. As we say, we have 4 pillars of brain health, and they are the NEST, right? N-E-S-T, nutrition, exercise, sleep, and training that brain. Sleep is a critical one. We've talked about why it is important. We talked about some of these negative things that can happen with light and how you should manage that. I think next week we're going to talk about some other ways that you can actually enhance your ability to get to sleep at night if you're having difficulty. There's some nice science-based techniques that can help you to do that, right? Until then, though, I appreciate you sitting with me here today on another Tuesday afternoon. I hope this was helpful and beneficial. If you have any questions, anytime, as usual, you can email us or me, Mike, at the Braining Center at headstrong1.com. That's Braining Center at headstrong1.com. Thanks again. And remember, it's all connected. The brain and the body. There's one. You can't separate them. What you do to one affects the other. You help one, it helps the other. Let's keep that positive cycle going. Let's help one, help the other. Let's help them both. All right. Have an awesome Tuesday afternoon. We will see you again next week.